Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Halfback Dynasty. My name is Brendan. We are joined today with our co-host, Tyler, legendary Gator Sense. Tyler, how the heck you feeling, my friend?
Feeling great, Brendan. I waited till we were on air to break it to you. I shot my best round on Saturday, so
Nice.
it was supposed to be about
110?
it was close. It was supposed to be about 100 degrees the entire round. Cloud cover never got above 80. It's just perfect, man.
Nice.
It's coming down the back few holes on 16. It was like, all right, dude, just don't blow up. Don't blow up. Hit my drive, hit a fence, and bounced back into play. That's when you know
nice.
you're living right. So
golf gods. What'd you end up shooting, man? You don't mind me asking.
91.
Hey, that's what's up. That
chance
beats my
to break,
official score.
Yeah, I had a chance to get in the 80s again, but hey, if I start complaining about low 90s, it's going to be a lot of disappointing rounds. So
yeah, that's not bad at all. That's
good, man.
I think it's damn near bogey golf. A lot of courses are probably like 72, 73. So
for sure, man.
Nice, dude. Congrats. That's what's up.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, so I know you're feeling good. I mean, you play the 10 bad rounds to get the one good one. So I'm glad everything sounds like it was working for you. So
for sure, man.
Dope. Well, we got a great topic to talk about here, kind of piggybacking off what we did last episode. We covered kind of muddy backfields, just depth charts on certain franchises that we might not know who's going to be the lead back or even the RB2 per se. So I think it's appropriate that we go ahead and we keep this same theme, except with the wide receiver corps of a few teams. Before we jump into that, though, you were kind of helping me out with some advice on this massive trade that just went down in my big league. It is the first three-way trade, I'm pretty sure, in this league, and it was a big one. You ready for me to give you the full details?
Yeah, let's break it down, man.
All right, so this is crazy. This is legit crazy. All right, so I guess what we'll do, I'll just go in order. I'll tell you what I gave up and what I got in return last. Let's say player A, owner A, gave up Devontae Adams, Kenneth Gainwell, and received J.K. Dobbins. How do you feel about that?
Man, that's a tough one. I mean, I can see if you're rebuilding Dobbins, but I mean, if you have any chance at contending, I mean, I'm extremely high on Dobbins. I've grabbed him everywhere I can, but hey, if you're hoping to contend, that's Devontae Adams. No question. No question.
Sure. Well,
because if Dobbins doesn't hit, man, he's not anything. Adams isn't going to, outside of injury, Adams is a WR1. I don't care who his quarterback is.
The player who traded away Adams also has like Waddle, Chase, Godwin. So he's got a few wide receivers, in the caliber and the chamber on his roster. His only running backs were Josh Jacobs and Chase Edmonds. So I kind of see why he did it. I don't think it was that bad of a trade because I'm a big Dobbins believer as well.
Yeah.
So, and I should remind you, this is a 12-team PPR, non-super flex, non-tight end premium. So what would you grade that trade?
I mean, for the person getting Adams, I'd honestly give him an A. I mean, I know the Dobbins intrigue and value is there, but he's a huge question mark. I love Dobbins, but hey, man, we have no idea if Dobbins is going to be good this year, what his workload's going to be when he finally hits. But again, on the other side, I'd probably give it a B minus. I mean, if Dobbins hits, yeah, it's going to look fantastic,
Good.
Because, Adams is 30. His value's got nowhere to go. Doesn't mean his production won't stay there. That's the tricky part with, it's kind of like a Keenan Allen. He's fantastic in your lineup, but he's not worth that much. So
exactly. So you will give the player who received Dobbins a B minus. Let's do it that way because it was a three-way trade involved. So there's three owners, so it wasn't as cookie cutter as this is what you gave up, this is what you got in return.
Always tricky, yeah.
Well, actually, it is for this example, but my point is, sorry, that sounded really whack. My point is, though, like it was divvied up between two other people what was sent out. So we'll give that a B minus. I agree, B minus to B probably will turn out okay. This time next year, Dobbins could possibly be more expensive than Adams himself. So, all right, this is where it gets juicy now. You ready for player A or player B? I'm sorry. The second
Ready.
owner.
Yep.
The second owner gave up Tyreek Hill, J.K. Dobbins, a 24 first, Aaron Jones, and a 23 third. And player B received Mike Williams, Hines, Gainwell, Najee Harris, Barkley, and a 24 second. So basically it's Hill, Dobbins first, Jones for Williams, Harris, and Barkley. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I might be a little biased. I mean, I like the Hill plus side. I think Barkley sucks, man. I don't think his situation's improved. I don't think his offense has improved. His line's gotten supposedly better, but I don't think Barkley's good. I mean, he's okay. I shouldn't say that. I don't think he's in a good enough situation.
He is in the NFL.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that. I don't think he's in a good enough situation to succeed to where his perceived value for some is warranted. Saquon Barkley hasn't been good in 2 years. He's living on in the Dynasty community his rookie year, where he was fantastic. Obviously, health has played a factor, but health plays a factor. You don't get a pass for 2 years worth of injuries. You know, that's 2 bad years. So I would want to get out on Barkley before it's too late. And if he hits, you got to live with it. But I don't think Barkley is going to be much more than I don't know, RB10 to RB19. I don't think he's going to be that great. He's not going to be terrible, but he's not going to be that great. So Harris is tough to lose, but to bring back in the caliber of talent you brought back, you got to trade something as well. So contending, I'd rather have Hill plus there, because I think even with an ugly depth chart, I think Jones is going to catch a tremendous amount of balls this year without Devontae Adams. Somebody's got to catch the ball in Green Bay. So I think they're going to use him almost as a slot receiver at times, if you will, or split backfield, whatever it's going to be. So I would take Hill there. I think it's iffy without Patrick Mahomes, but it's still Tyreek Hill. You know, even if they have to run him on slants to get him the ball, he could still take a 5-yard pass, 90 yards for a touchdown. So they're going to get him the ball, you know?
So how would you grade that trade? There's some big names in there.
Yeah, it's a tough one to grade. I mean, I would find it almost somewhat even, if you will, but it comes down to preference, which I don't see it with Barkley. So I would give the other manager a higher grade, but I'm not 100% sure what I would grade that, but
Sure.
I'd rather have the Hill side. So higher grade there.
Okay, sure. Then it comes down to this is what I gave and this is what I received. So I was the one who gave Barkley, Harris, Mike Williams, Hines in a second. And in return, I got Adams, Hill, Jones, a 2024 first. I feel pretty good about it. Granted, however, a lot of older players. So this is the time to do it. If my team is going to start, I guess, if I feel that I'm not a top and like an out and out contender, I need to start moving some of these guys. But I felt like I got a massive return. How do you feel about that?
I like the return too. Again, I would rather, if I was contending, have Adams and Hill than Harris and Barkley. And then you throw in Jones as well, who could play a serious role. And I like Mike Adams a lot, but you know, Mike Adams' season was built on what, the first 4 games. He was not
Mike
very
Williams?
good at. Yeah, Williams was not very good after that crazy start he had. He finished
Streaky.
WR1, but it was because he put up 30 plus points like 4 weeks in a row, you know, so kind of carried his end total. So I'd rather have the side you got. You know, I can see it both ways, but more because of Harris. I think Barkley carries more weight in that trade than he should. You know, there's a ton of feeds and stuff about Barkley, and I get it, man. His name is Barkley. You still have this perception that, man, Barkley could be really, really good in fantasy, but he's just not right now. You know, call it what you want. He's not. You know, they're 2 different pieces, but I see a lot of the same kind of monologues or dialogue about Akers. everybody's like, oh, he came back so fast and he's hurt. It's like the last time we saw Akers, he's absolutely terrible. You
Yeah.
can't just say,
Had to be the
oh, he's
lowest
going to be
yards per
awesome.
rush.
Yeah, it's just that it's the constant like, oh, they're going to be good this year. We have no idea. Akers looked like one of the worst running backs in
Dookie.
the NFL, period.
Yep.
And Barkley hasn't been good in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, call it
Cool.
what you want. It's kind of like McCaffrey. I don't know if McCaffrey's great anymore, if he's past his prime. I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. See, sometimes I kind of have this thought like, okay, well, if they missed, if they played like 2 weeks and they missed the rest of the season, you would hope that they're healthier than ever coming back. But a lot of times it's not the case. They have a lingering issue. Once they start going down the injury route, they really tend to
Tough, man.
hover and miss games here and there. And that's just the way it goes. And they get older and then they're not the same.
No,
So
it's a brutal position, man.
mhm.
Guys
I'm
have been
happy.
getting beat on their entire life playing running back. Like
Oh,
it
I know.
doesn't just start at college or at the NFL, man. They've been getting pounded on since high school.
Yeah, then they get underpaid or they don't get that big contract. It's kind of
Yeah,
messed up. I see both
tough,
sides,
man.
though. I see
It's
both
tough.
sides. So
Yeah.
cool. I figured that would be a fun trade to break down because it just happened a couple hours ago. Definitely a lot of big names. So I appreciate your input. I'm going to assume that you gave me an A on my grade for that trade. So
Yeah, I like what you brought in as a all-in contender. Absolutely.
good.
I think
Good,
you have
good.
a safer floor with Hill and Adams and arguably even Jones than you do with Harris and Barkley.
Sure.
Fair or not.
Sure. Well, perfect. Makes me feel a lot better. So all those players I received, I instantly threw them on the trade block.
Well, yeah, you got to keep it going, man.
That's how I do it because, a lot of times if there's like a standstill, with you're offering a bunch of players, it's nice to have the rosters kind of cycle because then you get new combinations of players and picks. And then sometimes you're able to make additional deals. So I always throw all the guys I get on the block instantly, try to start some more conversation. So
Do you have a 2023 first in that league?
I don't. I got 2 seconds. I traded a 20. Sorry, I got 2024 first, but I traded a 23 first and a 22 first for Barkley last offseason.
I remember that trade. Who's your WR4 on your roster?
So here's the roster real quick. I've got Herbert, I've got Cook, Chubb, Hall, Aaron Jones. Then I've got Adams, Hill, Robinson, Hopkins, and like Jacoby Myers, and then Darren Waller. So it's a dope team. It's a dope team, but I got to do it this year, man.
So based on your text, the Swift manager is rebuilding or not?
No, he's out now contending. He's one of the top contenders, but sometimes, based on value alone, some of these guys will make the moves. So I just know I can't get any of the other top, up and coming running backs like ETN and Dobbins was just a part of that trade. Zero chance I land JT. Won't land Javonte Williams. So it's like I just kind of like go down the list and see, who I haven't reached out to yet for which running back. But
I mean, it's a risk if Hall hits, man, but you could probably move Hall for Swift.
that'd be dope, actually. I probably would do that.
And I'm just saying, you don't
But
know if
Hall
Hall's
is
any
like
good.
JT caliber right now. A lot of people are suggesting, bro.
Well, try to get Hall for Swift in a first. You're
That
talking
would be
about selling high, man.
That would be crazy. Zero chance he does that. But I'll offer that. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Hey, man, people love Hall, so.
I would legit trade any running back probably in the NFL for Swift in a first. Maybe
you
not
like-
JT, but I'd really consider it. I'd really
You like
consider
Swift
it.
a lot?
I do, man. I do. PPR machine this year, in my opinion. Offense is getting better, more chemistry with Jared Goff. I mean, it should only be better for Swift as long as he stays healthy.
For sure.
So cool, man. Well, that was quite exciting. Let's go ahead and talk about some franchises that have some muddy wide receiver depth charts. The whole idea here is to basically talk about some teams that it's a little more difficult to predict which of these wide receivers will step up, who is fantasy worthy of rostering, things like that. So who did you want to start with? Which organization?
I mean, we could kind of start with the team that we mentioned last week with RB issues or muddy, not issues, but a muddy depth chart. Green Bay sticks out to me, man.
Cool. Yeah. So I definitely feel that this is my initial thoughts when looking at the Green Bay's depth chart for wide receivers. I truly don't know who's going to step up as wide receiver one, but what I do know is somebody's going to do it, and Rodgers will pick a favorite. So I don't know if that's going to be Lazard, Watkins, or Watson, or Amari Rodgers, but somebody is going to step up. Is that how you feel?
Uh, yeah, I think so, man. I mean, I think it's horrible, like from a dynasty perspective, but based on the chemistry in the past, could it possibly be Randall Cobb? I
Mm,
mean, I wouldn't want to bank on any of them, but I mean, Rogers really loves Cobb. We know Sammy Watkins is not good at this point. He's not good at all. He'll probably have his typical 40-point week one like he has the past 3 years. He's not good. Lazard's interesting because of his size. You know, he could kind of do well on 50-50 balls, kind of stretching the field a little bit.
mm-hmm.
And Watson, I don't know, man. He's banged up already, I think. He might start on the pup list as far as training camp goes. I mean, that's tough to miss that developmental time as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, I'd want Watson over anybody in Dynasty for purposes, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But it wouldn't surprise me if Cobb has the best season overall. I honestly think Jones is going to be the one that I'm not saying he's going to be 1,000-yard running back catcher, but I think Jones is going to benefit the most from a muddy depth chart here receiving, to be completely honest.
Sure. Yeah, I think as we mentioned, one of these guys is going to step up big time. I don't think it's Christian Watson year one because I don't think Aaron Rodgers will trust him. Aaron Rodgers is that type of quarterback that you have to gain his trust. If you drop a ball like on a big play, he's not going to throw it back to you. We saw it a few times with MVS last year. You know, he dropped some
True.
long passes that could have been tutties, and I'm pretty sure Rodgers had some disdain toward him and said, "Nope, you're not getting the ball anymore."
It's true.
I honestly, I think Alan Lazard has the best shot to be their producer. We talked about him like 2 or 3 years ago on the podcast. Very interesting story. He was actually one of the top wide receiver prospects, but then he decided to go to Iowa State because I'm pretty sure that's where his father went. And I think he declined like some SEC offers, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. I forgot the story, but it's 3 years ago. You know, it was pre-COVID. I'm pretty sure. You know,
For
things were
sure.
different back then. My mind was probably a little healthier and all that good stuff. But the point being is that you have a guy who is such a high rated prospect who chose to go to a not so highly rated school. And then he dropped on the rankings for wide receivers in his draft class. And then he was incredibly talented, big body, 6'5", 227. I
It's
mean, that's a
huge.
big wide receiver, right?
Big
Then
deal.
he gets to the NFL, has some rapport. I'm pretty sure he was actually on like the Saints for a while. He bounced teams and he was on practice squads and whatnot. Then got the call, and you know, he showed that he could play. Last season, he had 513 yards on 40 receptions, 8 touchdowns, bro. The 8 touchdowns is a little kind of eye-opening to me. That
Yeah.
tells me that Rodgers will most likely go to him in the end zone if he doesn't target like Tunyon. So my point being, I think Lazard has the history of being a top guy. He just hasn't translated into the NFL. I think this could be his year, bro. So I guess long
Could be.
story short, he's their wide receiver one this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he and Watson are the only two from a dynasty standpoint that you really want any interest in, and maybe Romeo Dobbs, you know, as a
Mm-hmm.
stash. But yeah, I could see it's probably going to be Lazard or Watson. But yeah, I think Jones is going to play a factor.
Good. I hope so. That's why I traded for him.
For
Cool,
sure.
man. So,
Sure.
yeah, basically don't trade anything of value to get any of those wide receivers. If you're going to do a trade, you might as well acquire all 4 of them and just pray for the best. Pray for the best. Let's go ahead and check out another franchise. I think we should talk about the New York Giants. We've been talking about Barkley a whole lot the past couple episodes. The Giants have definitely not improved their offense at all. I don't know where their draft picks go, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just been a shit show for I don't even know how long, man. Like Giants have been really bad for like the past decade
It's
since
been a
they had
long
Eli
time, man.
Manning. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah. Actually, even like the back end of Eli Manning's career, they've been pretty bad.
They weren't
So
even good when they won the Super Bowl. They were like the last team in and went on runs, you know?
hey, that's all that matters, though. You got to
Yeah,
get
for
in.
sure.
Just like fantasy, make the playoffs. You never know what's going to happen. For their wide
Absolutely.
receiver core, we're looking at Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard, Kenny Galladay, Darius Slayton, Wandell Robinson. I mean, that's just a group
Yeah.
of bigger names, more recognizable names. But yuck, man.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I still think a healthy Kenny Galladay could be a really good player. I mean, he's a guy that if you can get him for a third or a throw in on a trade, I would be thrilled to get Galladay. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't trade anything of value, but if he is like a guy that bridges the trade and makes it go through, I'd be thrilled to have Galladay going into this season. I think Tony holds the most value in Dynasty, but Tony's got to keep it together off the field. He's definitely had some issues. He's supposedly got quite the attitude on him, but
I feel like he's cocky. I don't know why.
yeah. Shepard, no interest at this point. We know who Sterling Shepard is, and he's not great from a fantasy perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to put my eggs in a basket, pending health, man, again, it's Galladay for me easily.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has the experience. He can run deep routes, short routes. He's big. He gets up and gets the ball. Whether Jones can get it to him is another story, but
Mm-hmm.
I expect Galladay to have the best outline of the group, whatever that means.
Sure. So I do remember last season, Kenny Galladay was getting very frustrated with Daniel Jones in the offense. Luckily, they now have Brian Dabble, who is the one who developed Josh Allen. So I imagine that Daniel Jones is going to have a better season passing because you have a great quarterbacks coach who's now the head coach. So I agree. Galladay seems like he's primed to have a pretty solid season. Which, yeah, I'd probably pay like a late second for him just to take a dart
Yeah, that's
throw.
fair. That's fair.
Why not? Why not? And then, yeah, lastly, an honorable mention here, Tyler, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, what were they doing paying all this money out for these receivers? Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones, Zay Jones. Ah, man, I hope Trevor Lawrence can ball out a little bit, but that is just not the group that I'd want around my new franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's great. I mean, Zay Jones, man, he was supposed to be good. He was like a dynasty darling coming out that year. Marvin Jones has played well his whole career in reality. I'm not saying he's a great fantasy option, but I think Christian Kirk got a massive contract that, is a head scratcher for all of us, but it wouldn't shock me if Kirk actually has a pretty decent year.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's going to have to catch the ball. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to make a huge jump. I've been trying to grab him everywhere I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
So out of all of them, I think Christian Kirk will be the guy, but I also think for dirt cheap, I think Zay Jones might surprise a little bit. I'm not saying anything more than a WR3 maybe, but if you have really, really deep starting lineups, I think Zay Jones could be decent. If you have to start like 3 wideouts, 3 RBs, 3 flex, I'm talking like a huge league. I think Zay Jones for his price might surprise a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, Zay Jones had an okay stat line. I think he had almost 50 receptions, 550 yards, 1 teeter, which is I mean, it's better than what he was doing. Christian Kirk actually had a decent season, not like highest paid wide receiver money type of season.
No.
77 receptions, 982 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I think the idea here is if you're going to take the dart throw, clearly do it before the season because one of these guys has to get the target share. I mean, it's not even like they have a tight end. They got ETN who carry a lot of the passing weight, I'm sure, but there is literally no competition out there from the tight end spot or even anyone behind them on the depth chart at wide receiver. So, yeah, Tyler, that's all I've got for us today, man. Is there anything you wanna chime in on before we sign off here?
Just my boy. I mean, a guy I was extremely excited about. Sorry to hear about John Mechie today. That was devastating news. Sounds like he's going to take the whole season off. I mean, I just had somebody text me and just ask if they should pay a third for Mechie. I said, absolutely, stash him for the year. It's not like his career's over. Hopefully he'll be nice and healthy. That's the most important thing is that he's good and healthy. But Not great news, man. That was really disappointing from a dynasty standpoint because Mechie had a fantastic opportunity in front of him. Not a good depth chart, and it's too bad, man. As long as his health is good, it's all that matters, man. Football is just football.